Good day to all our viewers and welcome to another episode of Market Watch. Today I have with me Mr. Hasitha Premaratne, the CFO of Brandix Lanka Limited. Good day, Hasitha. Thank you very much for joining us. Hasitha, I'd like to get right to it in terms of what we're talking about today would be the GSP Plus, which has been a hot topic in the market, and there's a lot of expectation. I see the market moving as well on this news. So, Hasitha, what the impact does GSP Plus have on the competitiveness of the industry from a country's perspective?
Yeah, I think if you look back, we had the GSP Plus benefits for the country between 2005 post tsunami up to 2009, actually part of 2010. So during this period, we saw the benefit. In fact, the apparel exports to Europe as a percentage of the total apparel exports stood at about 17% in 2005. Now this figure improved to almost 52% by 2009. That is total apparel exports to Europe as a percentage of the total apparel exports rose to 52%, which was a remarkable increase due to the GSP Plus, predominantly driven by the GSP Plus benefits. And then since then, we've had up to 2015 almost 5.5 years of no GSP Plus environment, and during this period this percentage of the apparel exports to Europe has dropped to almost 41%. So I think first of all, when you look at the competitiveness, it's very clear that the cost plays a vital role in the whole equation. So obviously there is a 9.6% on your turnover additional benefit that comes out as duty-free benefit from Sri Lanka to Europe after the GSP Plus benefit comes in. Right now we have 2.4%, which is the GSP, and when the plus comes in, GSP Plus comes in, actually it extends by another 9.6%, which is a significant saving, because in most industries 10% is the net profit margin. So you get a 9.6%. Technically, you have a very strong position to play with. Now, having said that, the entire 9.6% won't come into the supply chain or the supplier from Sri Lanka, because obviously there is a component that the buyer will keep. For example, if you take Marks and Spencer, who will be the customer, who will be the brand will naturally want to keep a certain part of that 9.6, if not half, even little more than that, yes. Right? And then the balance will trickle down to the next level, which means the supply chain, which includes the apparel manufacturer, then the fabric mill, elastics, trims, various other types of accessories. Everybody will share the balance benefit, and that's what the profit margin for each of the different people would be. So I think first of all, what it does is it make our pricing formula more competitive, and that will help to attract more volume of business. So of course, in that context, we need to pass on majority of the benefit to the buyer, right? So in certain instances, you will find that certain product categories you may even put out of the 9.6 almost 8% to the buyer, whereas in certain categories, in the higher end value-added categories, you may be able to keep maybe even 6-7% out of the 9.6 within the country. So that depends on the type of product and the type of customer you are dealing with.
So basically your blended margins will actually improve in that sense.
Absolutely. Okay, on one side, while it will bring more business, on the other side it will also help to improve the value addition in the country and the profit margins to improve. And when you say profit margins to improve, naturally part of that will be going out to the stakeholders, other stakeholders other than the shareholders, which is employees. So salaries can increase as a result. Obviously there is a pressure to increase the wages in the country. So I think that will be more possible while having a viable business model if GSP Plus benefits come into Sri Lanka. So that's one big thing. Apart from that, I think apart from the volumes and the cost implications, what this also does is that it put us back as a important destination, apparel destination in the buyer's sourcing map. Now, if you look at today, there is China, which is probably the largest apparel exporter to the world. Then you have the ASEAN region. When I say ASEAN, I'm talking about Vietnam's, Cambodia's, Indonesia's, Taiwan's, all of that in the ASEAN. Then the third region is where we are, which is the South Asian subcontinent. Now here we have India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Pakistan, who are the key players. So that's a third sourcing destination, and in that third destination Obviously, Sri Lanka's position has been challenged by Bangladesh because Bangladesh has taken bulk of the business from a cost perspective, and Sri Lanka has retained a niche piece which is predominantly working on a value-added component. So Sri Lanka has, as an industry, position significantly as a significant player in apparel exports. But having said that, cost has always become a challenge in the Sri Lankan context. So that piece of the equation can be better managed with a GSP plus environment coming in. So my view is that while we talk about the business, new business coming in, profit margins improving, also our position in the overall buyers sourcing map as a manufacturing destination further strengthens as a result of GSP plus benefit.
Also, Hasila, you were talking about there will be more in terms of salaries going up, but will you see more job creations, more companies coming in on the same round? I wonder what is the industry growth can be expected through this? I mean, what I mean is like, will there be no new companies coming onto the industry, etc.? Will that be expected as well through this kind of a?
Yeah. So one thing for sure is that the existing players in the apparel industry in Sri Lanka will definitely expand. So that's something that you will see at a first place, because the people who know the country, people who are already there, are the people who are going to immediately jump in to grab the benefit.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you will clearly see. For example, if you take Brandix, we've invested already heavily into Batikalo, into a big plant which houses about 5,000 people. So similarly, we've seen other big apparel players like Mars Holdings, which have already invested in Kilinochi. Then we've seen Omega Line in Vaunia. We've seen Hydroman is going into Mullaitivu. So in the eastern and the northern territory, which was not a accessible territory until recently, the big apparel players already have gone in and made sizable investments, which is good, which is creating employment. And for these investments, now we will have more traction thanks to the GSP plus benefits. Now, apart from that, you will also see expansions happening in the industry. Particularly when you talk about other regions, more outskirts of the country, where Western Province, where a lot of apparel manufacturing still happens, may slowly move out over the next 3 to 5 years, because obviously the hotel industry and the related growth is attracting more employment of people in this part of the country, which makes the employment availability and the cost a little bit above the affordable level for the apparel industry. So that will push back towards rest of Sri Lanka, which is good from a rural growth point of view. But having said that, I think while I said on one side there will be immediate expansions from the existing players, you can also expect some of the other foreign investments also to come into the industry, if not in core apparel manufacturing, at least into the textile and accessories side. Because one thing this GSP Plus does is that it also requires a certain part of, actually more than 50% of the sourcing to happen, the value addition to happen in Sri Lanka. So in that context, what we find is that now we can actually stretch beyond Sri Lanka and have what we call a regional consolidation when you buy the fabrics. So you can buy from places like SAARC countries like India or Pakistan as well, which can help our overall availability of the fabric equation. But need for fabric in the country becomes even more as a result of this proposition. So you can expect investments into the supply chain outside apparel manufacturing, also into fabrics, elastics, etc. also, because that's something that is absolutely necessary to keep the benefits going, and the import from places like China will have to reduce, because if you want to have the benefit, it has to be either Sri Lanka based supply chain, or it has to be a regional based sourcing that should happen. So I think when you look at a number, today we are almost a $5 billion industry. I think in the next 5 years we should see at least doubling this industry, because if at all the manufacturing will be curtailed because of the lack of availability of labor, because labor shortage is a challenge for all of us. Now another important point I want to highlight here is that this growth, this phase of growth for the next 5 years may not happen in the same way that it happened in maybe the first 5 years of GSP Plus. There are two reasons for it. One is when we got 2005 GSP Plus in 2005, we didn't have too many buyers. We had buyers, but we didn't have too many European buyers, European customers. But today we do have plenty of them, because at that period we have attracted and we have not let go too many of them. So because of the buyers being comfortable with Sri Lanka being here, seeing our sustainability initiatives, seeing our good labor practices, seeing our compliance values, right? There is a lot of attraction outside the cost towards the industry. So with the cost benefit coming in, chances are that there will be a quick takeoff from the customer angle, which buyers will or the brands will want Sri Lanka to produce and do more. Second thing is that while we traditionally used to have a very manufacturing oriented base, for the next phase of the GSP Plus, I think we will also see a lot of technology based, innovation based, R&D based products coming in, which will improve our value addition in the country. And on the other hand, it should also push towards more productivity improvements, because automations should take out the man to machine ratios and the man to turnover ratios, which in turn will help to grow, because availability of labor is a shortage. So productivity improvements is absolutely essential for us to grow this industry beyond a particular point.
Definitely, I see a lot of investment in the terms of the technology, AI on the apparel side. I think I've seen all the top players coming in. Hasid, I think definitely again we can expect this growth and all this coming in, provided the GSP Plus is awarded to Sri Lanka. Is that it? But will we see these kind of inventions as well as investments going in either case?
I think in either case, because this country's apparel industry has to elevate to the next level, and productivity improvements is a must. Next generation of manufacturing technologies will be a must. So those will happen either way, but I think what this will do is it will give us more boost and more focus, because if you want to grow the industry beyond a particular point, you need to bring technology in, you need to bring automation in, you need to reduce the man to machine ratios, because we have a huge labor shortage in the country when it comes to the apparel industry.
Also, on a different note, on something trending again, it's the Trump, President-elect Donald Trump in the US. His policies are very, bring back the industries, etc. So what is your take on Donald Trump's policies and how that might affect the entire industry of the apparel industry in that sense?
Yeah, I think there are a few areas to cover, especially when you look at it from a trade angle. There are the Donald Trump's view on the trade deals and the type of things like the trade pacts or free trade agreements. He's pretty much not so positive about it. So Sri Lanka doesn't have any trade pact with the US. So in that context, Sri Lanka should benefit at the first place, because we don't have when somebody has, and chances of somebody else becoming lesser means that we should get into the same platform to play, which is a good thing, right? From a Sri Lanka point of view, though from a world trade point of view, from a US point of view, from certain countries' point of view, it may not look too interesting. Classic example is TPP, now Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. Now in the previous regime, in the Obama administration, we saw that the TPP was going pretty aggressively and was almost getting into a closure, but it did not, and then Trump on the very first day of office, he has said that he's not going to, first thing he'll do is he'll take out that agreement out, the TPP out, which means countries like Vietnam, which was poised to benefit significantly and becoming a major threat to the Sri Lanka's apparel industry, will actually not benefit the way they anticipated earlier, which from a Sri Lanka point of view is a good thing. So because the TPP not happening from a Sri Lanka point of view, purely selfishly speaking from Sri Lanka point of view, actually it's not a bad idea. Right?
Oh, okay, so that's a good thing for Sri Lanka in that case.
Yes, it is a good thing for Sri Lanka. So I think likewise, since as I said earlier, we don't have any trade pact with US. Naturally, we will be at advantage because we have nothing to lose, and others have everything to lose, right? So that's one. The second thing I see in the overall equation of Trump's view is that it's talking about the interest rate environment and pushing up the interest rates from this very low interest rate regime. Now, this can have an impact because the cost of borrowing can actually increase from a dollar perspective, and most of the apparel companies here and globally are actually actually borrowing in dollar terms. So cost of borrowing can go up. Hopefully it won't be significant, but I think there will be some level of increase that you can expect in the interest rate environment, which is something that we will be closely watching as an export company. And another important angle to the whole equation is about manufacturing going back to US. Now, what this will do is it will probably make businesses and companies to think more logically about improving productivity, reducing the exposure to the human capital, because that's where the expensive the labor arbitrage comes in, and try to bring back, like in automobile industry, there is a lot of things happening, manufacturing happening in US because it's automated, but apparel is not automated. So as a result, or hardly automated, I would say. So as a result, we don't have too much happening in US, but probably if they want to get it, there will be a lot of push towards technology. So I think that technology push will come, there is no doubt about it. It was coming, but it only will get fast tracked because of the Trump policies. So what it tells us is, companies in Sri Lanka or in the rest of the world, is that we should also quickly embrace technology, because technology is essential if we want to improve productivity beyond a particular point. So to do that, technology-based productivity improvements, etc., will become the order of the day, and it becomes even more important for us to play. But good news is Sri Lanka is relatively ahead compared to some of the other peers, so that should give us some better prospect to compete with the type of product, customers, and the resources that we have in this country.
Hasida, it tempts me again when you're talking about the rates as well, and I know you are the person to ask about the macro side. So on a closing note as well, Hasida, you said, I know the Federal Reserve has mentioned that there will be 2 other tranches of rates going up from that 10, so I know the cost of borrowing might get affected. So but overall, what do you see 2017 like for Sri Lanka in a macro perspective, in your view, Hasida?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing about 2017 for me is whether the government can really get the plans they have already put in place executed, or at least get started with those big projects. So Port City luckily has already started after a bit of a dilemma, but then it has come back, good news. And Hambantota project altogether, it's a massive development, not only Hambantota, actually starting from the Hambantota port, the airport, and some surrounding industries that goes up to Monaragala area, which is a significant growth platform. And I hope these things will get sorted out and resolved and move on and get started, because there is ample amount of opportunity that will come for Sri Lanka's manufacturing industry if we get through the GSP Plus to Europe, FTAs with China or India, which is currently under negotiation, and Prime Minister has shown some positive and very strong light into that a lot of focus is going on. So if that happens, obviously the largest market in the world is EU, right? Then the fastest growing 2 markets are China and India. So if we give access from Sri Lanka to those markets duty free, imagine the type of manufacturing, or the investors who will come from overseas, set up shop here, manufacturing here, and try to export from here. So that's a phenomenal amount of opportunity that's being created for a manufacturing industry to set up. And probably we need to pick and choose and say that we need to have this type of industries, this quality, this value-added industries, and have a significant growth in the exports, which in turn can improve our balance of payments, which in turn can help our employment generation, and so many other angles to it, to take the foreign exchange into the country. So I think at least the start of those initiatives is absolutely important. And then the Kandy Highway, which has been spoken about, which has started already. I hope it will move in this proper direction. The light rail transit, which is the railway line in Colombo, which is going to be also a very important aspect, because the amount of time we spend on the roads these days is unbelievably a waste of time. So this type of transport improvements will have to come to improve the productivity of the country and the economy. So I just mentioned about 3-4 of those big projects, but these type of big projects, Megapolis, Colombo, Trincomalee, Kandy. So all these are right now under discussion and in plans, but they need to get executed. And there are a lot of different views, oppositions, and various types of counter issues with the development programs right now, which I hope the government will be able to cross that bridge and make it work. Because if that happens, from a macroeconomic perspective, I think we will have some very, very important milestones that we could get through to. One is the type of investor confidence that it could bring in. It will definitely push through, because that's one thing that we right now lack in the country, both foreign as well as the local investors, because these kind of strikes and picketings and all these stuff are no good for business, right? So these should stop, and these should get into action, and hopefully the 2017 will be the year in which it actually should get executed. And another important piece from a macroeconomic perspective is that while we look at the big development projects, the kickstarting, it should also support some of the other peripheral infrastructure development, as well as some of the education and related growth as well. Because if you are talking about Port City coming in and it becoming the financial district, where is the know-how? We need to have people who can develop themselves and grow. So we should have good universities, top world-class universities in Sri Lanka set up, and there should be a human capital development program that has to come in, which is currently being spoken about by the government. So these also should kickstart parallelly, because I think in a 2020 environment, if you are trying to elevate ourselves into this financial hub, we should have the type of human capital needed, and that should be grown from at least 3 to 4 years before, which means 2017 is a year in which these things should actually kickstart. So a lot of good plans are there. I sincerely hope that these will get executed on ground.
Yes, so I understand it's a whole impact in terms of this growth coming in. We need that back end to support us in terms of the education. So you're very hopeful, I feel, Hasida. So on a closing that sense, so key takeaways today would be that we are positive about the apparel industry. No matter the GSP plus, we will see growth coming in, and also the investments that's going in. And on a macro side, we are very hopeful that the policymakers will implement, and we'll see things taking off from there. So thank you very much, Hasida, for joining us. It was very informative, and I enjoyed myself as well. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in, and all of you have a very good day, and bye-bye.